about your opinions on nutrient control. We have been using very often these two products. We're loving this Pulse 004.
Yeah.
This is black magic. This is
No.
black magic. No. But we have been using this with some of us have been. I've there's even this question if this is a good method to use. I have put a bed of zeal,
Yeah.
and on top of that, a bed of Pulse 004. Uh, so tell two questions. What is the black magic that some these that are phosphates never get to zero? That was like a tremendous
When tell
problem to me always.
when I tell you
And
now under 4 eyes, I tell you now that I buy cachaca, Brazil one, and soak the absorber a little bit in, and then I give it back to the reef tank. This is the no joke. There's a kind of mixture like we use there to avoid this. This is really a trade secret now a little bit how I do it. The reason to do that was that we do service in hotels, in the restaurant, and always when I have time, the restaurant was full of people, and I was tired to come every week there and change the absorbers. And so I sit down with a friend together and say what we can do, that we have one which we can put 20 kilos in and it runs all the time but not get on zero. So then we find it out over a little bit of work, and that's it. And it's not a black miracle, it's nothing. It's only physics and chemistry a little bit. And yeah, then it's working.
is that a good let's say a good pair of products to use together?
No,
Or,
even not, no. At the end, you need a good skimmer, you need a good food, you need to do the water change, and then maybe it's a good tool to work with that. What I would work is always zeolite. So with zeolites, this is a really good source for a small filtration when you can clean that and put it out. This is really something where you can get a lower nutrients, but not, and it's the wrong thinking. It has nothing to do with phosphorus or nitrogen. It has to do that the zeolite removes the trace
ammonia.
element system. No, look, this is all the shit that people tell around. So
Uh-huh.
zeolites,
So tell us.
the bacteria
We want to
love,
learn that.
yeah, the
Yeah.
bacteria loves the rock. They love the surface of zeolite.
Yeah.
So yes, at the beginning, yes, there is some ammonia which is binded on the surface of the rocks and goes in, right? This makes for bacteria very simple to grow on the surface. But look, when we had a piece of rock, zeolite like this, so, and now we have very, very small holes. And at the end, a bacteria is sitting on top. The holes in zeolite are much too small, the bacteria goes in. And now, like a little bit free beer, the ammonium comes around. So I hope you can see it. Maybe it's wrong, I don't know. That's like this. So, did you really think the bacteria go no away and say, hey, ammonia, I don't need you, go in the rock? No, the bacteria take all what she can get. So after, let me say, the first day, maybe there is some ammonia going in the zeolite, and you can see it if you use the zeolite without preparing them and using a lot, you have very problems with your corals because you take all the nitrogen out. But latest in one day or day one or day two, you have a good surface for bacteria, and the zeolite taking the iron out and taking the unwanted trace elements out of the water. It's for cleaning against too much trace elements. It takes the fertilizer.
Oh, great.
This is the sense behind. And then we dose the elements which we need and which we want. And that's why we can control the coloration better. So developed the system from a Chinese guy, also very early in the 80s, no, not 80s, and also in the 90s, we had a reef tank here from a Chinese guy, which was amazing. It was from another planet during this time, and this was a Chinese guy who using this type of zeolites to clean the water. We were very interested in that. I go in another store, I buy zeolites, put it in, all the corals died. And I said, this is the shit on earth and we'll never use it. This is fake. So, and 10 years later, then I understand what was my mistake, because there are different zeolites in the market. And what we need today is a Ca-based cleanup zeolite. This is the mineral, which is an aluminum silicate. So the only problem if you use zeolite is that on the ICP, you will always have a high amount of a barium, sometimes of barium, of aluminum, and maybe silicate, but this is particleized. So it does not matter about that you have a problem in your reef tank, but it's important for these guys who take care with the ICP that they know about ICP, how to interpret it. So that's why they need to talk with the customer. So usually, and we can start it soon in Brazil also, that we do a training with the shop owners, and they get a certification that they are able to do an interpretation on ICP, where I show them the tricks to find out what causes which level on elements in the ICP to help the people better. Also there, adsorbers and the adsorbers around. Zeolite is a type of filtering. It has nothing to do with an adsorber. Adsorbers always have the advantage that you can keep the phosphate out if you like, but they have always a disadvantage that they bring the skimmer down if they're iron-based, or they're taking the fluorine out if they're aluminum-based. And this will have an effect over the longer time on the reef tank. So the base for the customers or people who use it is always the same. The export due to water change, due to good skimming, due to coral grow. An adsorber, if a fish is dying or was too much fish in, but then going back to the base. I don't use adsorbers very often. I use zeolites. Sometimes I use an adsorber when we do really heavy feeding in the farm, but mostly we have to add nutrients like plants where we have to give them fertilizers. And if you go on the way of thinking of plants and you do it in the way on the sense, same on the reef tank, then you will have success. Because a farmer, and you can talk with every farmer in the world, he never add more fertilizer as he thinks. He goes to 80%. He fertilizes only to 80%. This gives the plant a sign, oh, if I grow, I will have more surface, I can have more nutrients. Then he waits till she grows, and then he gives another 10%. He never over fertilizes. If he do, he know the plants are dying or have issues. And that's the same on the reef tank. That to over fertilize and then go in an adsorber is a way which the people do today. Yes, but this is only the look on the surface, and it's not the look on why I have a high phosphate. Very often, if the people make an ICP, they see there's no zinc, there's no vanadium, there's no nickel in the reef tank, which the tank needs to reduce the phosphate by itself, which the bacteria need to grow. So it makes more sense always. You make an ICP to check it, do the interpretation, and take care of the bulling light, of the elements, of that things, before going the first step and say, oh, I take aspirin, I have headache. Sometimes it's better to ask why I drink so much. Yeah, that's the same. So,
I understand.
And you have customers who don't want to take care. So for them, an adsorber is okay. They are lazy. They have not the time, they don't want. For that, it's absolutely okay. But for reefers who wants to know what's going on, no.